Welcome to the next episode of Whoniverse Database. Today the video is about the alternate dimension that was home to Morgaine, first mentioned in 1989's Battlefield. Saddle up guys, this one's a bit of a cannon jerker. In 1997, the English village Carberry came under attack from knights wielding laser guns. These knights were the soldiers of a sorceress warrior queen called Morgaine, all of whom had travelled from an alternate dimension in which Earth had developed magic as a kind of science alongside technology. In this alternate universe, King Arthur of Arthurian legend was actually a real-life king who ruled over England until he was overthrown by Morgaine and her son Mordred. There isn't a great deal known about Morgaine's dimension. We know that Morgaine herself is known by such titles as the Sun Killer, the Dominator of the 13 Worlds, and Battle Queen of the Sracs. Presumably there are at least 13 worlds in this universe, as the second title suggests. In terms of transport, it's known that cars don't exist in this universe. Flying aircraft called ornithopters that used flapping wings to stay in the air were used as transport instead. Most intriguing of all, however, is the existence of Merlin in this dimension. When two opposing knight factions crossed from Morgaine's universe into our N-space, the 7th Doctor, Ace, and both the current and former Brigadiers of UNIT at the time were caught up in a battle to possess the sword Excalibur, a sword that was located in King Arthur's burial ship at the bottom of Lake Vortigern in Carberry. Many of these knights, as well as Morgaine herself, recognised the Doctor as Merlin, though not from his appearance but more from his general demeanour. It's revealed that Merlin from this other dimension played a big part in Arthur's ship being in the lake and had also set up defences and clues to help the Doctor defeat Morgaine. The Doctor himself didn't know anything about these events at the time, but quickly concluded that it must be the work of a future version of himself. While there's multiple different sources and accounts of this Merlin Doctor, none provide a concrete picture of this incarnation. Supposedly the Merlin Doctor had considerable involvement in the alternate Earth's timeline around the time of King Arthur and Morgaine's battle with him. The most common explanation is an incarnation of the Doctor after the 7th, possibly one that we have yet to reach in the current timeline, at some point travelled into the other universe and assisted King Arthur and his people against Morgaine. Here he also apparently built up quite the opposing relationship with the sorceress. Morgaine's claim to have sealed Merlin in the ice caves and then waited 12 centuries to face him again does support this idea. As mentioned, there are a few different perspectives on the Merlin Doctor's identity. There is, however, a short story in which it's revealed the 8th Doctor is in fact the Merlin incarnation and the one who got involved with Morgaine and Arthur. By this account, the 8th Doctor was also the one who put Excalibur in the dimension-crossing spaceship on which Arthur's remains were transported to our universe aboard. Since this particular topic quickly branches off into a whole load of other stuff, like most of Doctor Who actually, I'll stop here with the Merlin Doctor information. If you're interested in knowing more about the various takes on the Merlin Doctor, I'd recommend reading up about them on the Doctor Who wiki. What we see in Battlefield is effectively the conclusion to a long and interesting story that we've yet to see fully pan out, or may never see for that matter. It's interesting to note just how powerful the pseudo-science of magic is in this alternate universe. Morgaine in particular is shown as an incredibly powerful individual when she utilises her magic abilities, even being able to imprison and partially control a great old one known as the Destroyer to do her bidding. By the end of the story though, the Destroyer is defeated by Brigadier Lethbridge Stewart using silver bullets, having been briefly let loose. Morgaine, having attempted to make one last push for victory by letting off a nuclear weapon convoy, is talked down by the Doctor and her son Mordred are taken into custody by UNIT. The Doctor sets Arthur's submerged ship to self-destruct, which leaves him waiting now, presumably, to one day live the events his future self set in motion that would bring his past self's attention to these events. And you thought Moffat made overly timey-wimey plots? And I think that concludes this video. There's some smaller things here and there relating to this subject that I didn't mention, but I included everything that I considered interesting or worth mentioning. And let's face it, if I tried to include everything about the subjects I cover in these videos, they'd all end up being at least 2 hours long. Personally, I'm a bit of a sucker for stories like this that mess around with the linear presentation of the Doctor's timeline. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you haven't already, and patiently await the next video. Or don't. Do what you like, I don't mind. Bye everyone!